Good Thursday morning, everyone. Hi, Besta. How are you doing? Long time no see. Hey, Betty. Hello. Thank you for being here. So I take it you guys can hear me okay. It's a humid and muggy morning in Northwest Ohio. I hope everything is well where you are. Oh boy, things are... Hey, Donna, hello. Every time I see that NEPA, I have to stop and think again. Northeast Pennsylvania. I'm so glad that you're here and that you're commenting. Hi, Jean. Thank you for watching and for sharing. Kind of wondering why on the computer... oh boy, there the comments started rolling. It's a little hard for me to see who's popping on when I'm looking at my phone. It's my eyes. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Last night we were together because I had put the July Barn Quilt card kit together. So if you were with us last night and you're with us again this morning, that makes me very happy. It shows me that you really are interested in quilt cards and quilt blocks and combining our love of paper with our love of quilts or quilting. So before I get into today, as far as the project, you can start cashing in your bonus coupons. So in the month of July, for every $50 that you spent in a Stampin' Up store, you got a $5 coupon to use in August, and you can start using those. There is a designer series paper sale that will be starting August 6th, and I want to show you the designer series paper to market. I didn't think I was going to like this one. I got it just to have more options for colors and patterns. It is now one of my favorite designer series papers. And I'm, just using little bits, but I love this paper and I want to show it to you. And then if you like it, you could put it on your list. And then August 6th, I believe it's 15% off. Okay? So I'm going to flip the camera around, and while I do that, please greet each other, say good morning. Takes me just a minute to rearrange my workspace, and then we're going to get started on the mystery quilt block for today. I got to find my icons. Okay, hold on. And let's just move this up and down. I am always worried that I am going to accidentally shut my phone off. Okay, so what is covering? Why can't we see the one side? There is something that is blocking. There's the camera there. Not really sure what is picking up on this one side that we can't see something. Oh, it looks like it might be, it's the, okay, hold on. Why is it that it's picking up my mount here? You guys bear with me here. Just got to figure out why it's picking up this knob right. Is it the knob? No. Because My camera's over here. So it looks like it's picking up this. Let's move. Oh, that gets better. We're just going to work this way. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, okay. Hey, somehow we fixed it. I'll be darned. Well, that is awesome. Now, what I want to do is straighten out. Okay. It's always something sometimes. But we're good. We are ready. We're ready to create. So who's all in the house? Hey, Debbie, good morning. And Linda and Jasmine and Sandy and Mindy and Beth and Joyce and Doris. Yes, happy birthday to Carol Beth, who's in the house. Hi, Sharon, Diane, Susan. Hey, Robin. Doris and Robin from Wisconsin. Hi, Barb from North Dakota. Yay, we got a really good variety of states in the house. Hey, Carol. And hey, Dawn. Okay, so we are ready to go. This is really simple, you guys. And I really enjoyed doing it. It actually, the quilt block was probably, I mean, it's based on a 4-patch, so it could be, you know, it could have been anything. But I extended the strips out. So you'll notice that the actual quilt block, when it comes together, is going to be kind of in the center of what we're doing. And it goes together really, really easy. So what we have that we're working with, we've got a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock. You want it to coordinate with whatever designer series paper that you're using, because you will see the one side. Now, I switched out one of my designer series papers, and I went with this green instead of the peach pie and pumpkin pie. But this also measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then we have an embossed piece of basic white. And this is 3 3/4 by 5. I got a little bit ahead of myself when I had you emboss it ahead of time, but it's okay because I have a sample. I have several different samples to give you different ideas of when to use the embossing or the quilting. And we've got a 7 1/2 by 5 inch piece of basic white cardstock. To make the quilt pattern, we're going to use a 3/4 inch by 12 inch strip of designer series paper, and this comes from the To Market collection. And then I'm pulling the garden green out, and I only need one of these squares. But as you've been hearing me say here lately, when it comes to cutting triangles, it's better to have too many, because if one doesn't work, you can grab another. So I actually cut 2 1 1/16 inch squares, and we're going to cut those diagonally. But here is, quote, our fabric. So if we were thinking of our designer series paper as fabric, this is what I chose to work with. Okay? So for the quilters out there, just think of this paper as fabric. The first thing that we're going to do before we start cutting our designer series paper, I want to quickly show you the To Market collection. Okay, so this I'm going to turn around. This is one side. And then the B side is this really pretty pecan pie wood grain. So I love that. That's one. And then here is, we got blackberry bliss and peach pie. The B side to this, I don't have the B side because I've already used one of these. But the B side is this beautiful peach pie with little pumpkin pie accent colors. So I love that. And then here we have this beautiful blackberry bliss pattern. I always think of rich razzleberry with this. So the B side, and this could be the A side, but you can fussy cut all of these little baskets. And there's another sheet of paper in here with some flowers that you can fussy cut and tuck them in those little baskets. Here's this beautiful green plaid. Oh, and there's the other side that has the flowers. I really didn't think that this was going to be a paper that I enjoyed so much, but I do. I love it. Here's that floral that I'm using, and the opposite side of that is some vegetables. And if you've got the stamp and die set, I believe the dies will cut out your veggies. Okay, I don't have the bundle. And then we have this beautiful garden green pattern. And the opposite side is vines of tomatoes. And that's the designer series paper. I love it. It's like my favorite right now. So I just wanted to quickly show that to you. Get your trimmer out and bring in that 7.5 by 5 inch piece of basic white. Now, once you do this, make this card once, you can see where you could easily change this out to be a color of cardstock instead of white. But today I'm going to use white to show you. So what I'm going to do, I've got the 7.5 inch across the top. I'm going to score it at 3 3/4. Going to fold it in half. Burnish it, and this actually becomes the card part of our project. Okay, so you got a little like note size card that's 3 3/4 by 5, but it's actually 7.5 inches long because we had to fold it in the middle. Okay. And now the other thing we need our trimmer for is we are going to cut, bring in that 3/4 inch by 12 inch piece of designer series paper that you're using. We're going to cut this up. Okay. So our first cut is going to be 4 inches. So the first cut is at 4. And don't worry, I will have a PDF up this weekend for the project that we're making today. The second cut is going to be 2 3/4. So 2 3/4. And then we need 2 2-inch lengths. So there's 1. And I'm just setting them to the side. Now we need another 2 inch. And you have this little scrap. This little scrap changed the whole card for me when I was creating the project. I didn't want to throw this away. So I have found a way to incorporate it into the card. And what we're going to do is we're just going to fold this in half, give it a crease, and just set it aside. We are going to use, well, I didn't get it exactly a half, but it doesn't matter. But let's even it out here. This is something you can do just with your fingers. There we go, that's better. This changed the whole card idea that I had. Was that little tiny scrap. Hey, Mary Ellen. Marilyn's in the house, and Holly, Julia, Janice. Good morning. Carrie's joining us from the Bay Area. It's chilly in San Francisco. Okay, so let's keep going. I do believe you can either put your trimmer away at this point, or you can use it to cut your square of designer series paper. I've been cutting mine by hand because my snips will go all the way from one corner to the other. But if we want to put it in our trimmer, we're going to put it on point, meaning it looks like a diamond. And we are going to cut from corner to corner, but we want to just gently push our guard down, stick our blade into the paper, and then cut up and down. And then I'm going to turn my triangle so that the longest side is up against the bumpers there, and that my point is in my cutting track. Again, we're just gonna cut it to create 2 triangles. We need a total of 4 triangles. So we'll just repeat that. Again, you can do this with your snips if you don't want to use your trimmer. And just to make sure my triangles work, I'm going to cut another one. It's just such a small amount of designer series paper that if I don't use it and throw it away, it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't save too many pieces unless they're big enough that I can get something out of them for, you know, either cutting a label or something like that, or using it for die cutting. Okay, so here I've got a whole bunch of triangles. That gives me options. Now we can get rid of our trimmer. Jessica's like, yay, I caught you live. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. And Brenda, she says, I can finally watch with no grandkids interruptions. That is cute. Our puppy is actually in her crate resting so that I don't have any interruptions. Let's bring back in. Now I'm going to get my silicone mat real quick. Bring back in your strips that we cut. Again, one was 4 inches, one's 2 3/4, and then we have 2 that are 2 inches. What we're going to do with our triangles is we are going to adhere them to our strips. You want the 90-degree angle to your left. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to adhere them to our strips here. Now see, that one is a little short. Maybe I've got more than 3/4 of an inch going on my strips. Now that one went a little bit further. See why you cut more triangles? Because if your cutting's just a little bit off, they're a little short, and we really do want our triangle to go from one side of the designer series paper to the other. We got that one. And let's see if this one works. That one works. So I'm just going to put these other 4 to the side. Again, we're going to adhere these with the 90 degree angle to the left of our strips, and they all should be going the same direction. Okay, so let's get out our glue. You can use your reverse tweezers to help hold your designer series paper. And I want to be out to the edge. Now you can fudge it a little bit if that point, this point doesn't exactly come over to the side, but do you see that little piece of green that's on the side of the designer series paper? You don't really even notice it. I'm getting my point up in the corner. Okay. And one more. And then we'll be able to set these aside. While we work on the next layer. So there you have your 4 half square triangles. I am just going to set these aside. Let that glue dry just a little bit. And I want to bring in a piece of grid paper, just because the lines on it, I need to draw some lines on our quilted piece of basic white. And I'm just going to use the lines on the grid to help line up my ruler and know that I've got a pretty much straight line. So in the landscape mode, bring in this piece of basic white that I had you emboss, but really when I made my first one, I did it after I drew the lines on, but it does not matter. Now, if you've got an embossing folder that's really lofty, meaning there's a lot of puffiness to the design, then drawing your lines after you've already embossed it could be a little difficult unless you flipped it over and used the deboss side. But because I'm using the cute crochet embossing folder, it's not a heavy, lofty pattern, and I can get away with putting my lines on. We're not going to see our lines. We don't have to erase them, so I'm going to be good. What I'm going to do is from the bottom, I'm working from the bottom up. I'm going to come up 1.5 inches. And I've already made a tick mark 1.5 inches up from the bottom on both sides. I just want to connect those 2 tick marks. So I am going to bring in my ruler and see how the lines on my grid paper are going to help me stay straight. Now I am looking way over the top of the workspace. And my head could actually get involved here, but I'm just going to draw that line, and then I'm going to come in 1.5 inches from the top and 1.5 inches from the bottom, and I am going to connect these 2 tick marks. This is going to help us with the placement of those strips that we just did. Okay, so that's what it looks like right now. And what we're going to do now is bring in your 4-inch length, and your half square triangle should be on the left side. And we're going to glue this down above our pencil line. So it's going to sit on top of the pencil line. And yes, it's too long, but we're going to end up wrapping our tails, so it's all good. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to this tail. Don't really want to put glue there, not right now anyway, because I've got more pieces to put down. Again, it's sitting on top of our pencil line. Now, in the original quilt block, it only would have been 1.5 inches wide. So it was 1.5 inches. It was like a 3-inch block. But I extended my fabric or my paper out to cover my base here. Now you want to bring in, you know what, we're gonna work clockwise, or yeah, clockwise. So we're just gonna come down and take one of your 2-inch lengths. It's gonna set right below that first strip, and you can kind of see a pattern happening here. I'm going to hold on to the end that really does not need glue at this point, because I don't want it sticking to any, you know, gluing it down to anything that I've got started here, or what I'm working, what I have underneath to work on. Okay. Now we're going to keep going clockwise. So take the other 2-inch strip, and you're going to come in here from the side. And this is going to fall below the pencil line. But you can see what is starting to form. Okay. So we'll put some glue on the back up here. And our last piece is going to sit above the pencil line. And that is your 2 3/4 inch. And because we're creating a pinwheel right here, you want your half square triangle to be where all the other triangles are meeting. Okay, so once you've got that, then you can glue that in place. And it should butt up right to the other pieces. Okay. So there is the quilt pattern that we are making today. We did a little tiny pinwheel here, went together really, really fast. This is I love the simplicity of this layout. Still gives me my quilting feel, but it can go together really quickly. Okay, I know, Holly, so easy, right? So now we've got these tails sticking off of here. If you want to, snip them off. I love the look of a wrapped edge. So I am going to flip my piece over. I don't need a lot of glue, but I'm going to put a little bit of glue across the ends. And I'm just going to wrap that piece of Designer Series paper. Look at, can you see how nice that edge looks when it's wrapped? I don't have it, when it's cut off, if it's a little uneven, it may be noticeable, but I love a wrapped edge. I never think to do it all the time, but this was just in my head. Again, it was decided by this little scrap that we folded and have it totally changed where I was going with the layout, as far as the layout was going to be. Just going to finish wrapping those edges. Look how nice. I just love how nice the edge looks when they're wrapped. Okay, so there we have our quilt pattern. Now, you could do all your piecing and then emboss it or quilt it so that you've got quilting in your designer series paper here. I was trying to separate them. I do have a sample to show you where I just quilted the whole thing at once, and I love that look too. So I've got a smooth look here, and then I've got the texture behind it. But if you want to just do it all at once and then wait to quilt the whole thing, it looks just as pretty. So darn it, you're going to have to make a second card so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so there we have that. Let's bring in our note card. What we want to decide is, do we want our note card to open in portrait, or do we want to open in landscape? Now this piece here is going to cover the whole thing, but don't start gluing this down yet. I wanted to use this little leftover piece, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to use this as a tab so that the person opening the card might have a place to grab onto, because our card is actually just going to fit on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch background. It doesn't open itself, just this is going to open. But I thought, let's give them a little tab to grab a hold of to open the card. What I want to decide is, and this is going to fit, okay, if you open your card and you open your folded piece, it's going to get glued down to where there's just a little bit hanging out on the side. Now you got to be careful how much you leave hanging out, because your card still needs to fit in the envelope. What do I mean by that? Is if I brought in my layer here that this is going to sit on. Let's see if I can do this without being all thumbs. I don't want this sticking out so far that it won't fit in the envelope. So about 1/4 inch is good. So I'm going to open up this little tab. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue on each side like that. So it's opened like a book right now. And I've got just a little bit of glue on either side. And you could decide where you want to place it. Okay. So I'm just creating this little tab on the front part of our note card. Now when you open it up, you will see this piece right here. We're going to hide the front of it though when we cover up, when we cover the front up with our quilted piece. Okay. And I am going to, well, since I put it down here, my card is going to open in landscape. If I wanted to open it in portrait, which my design would be here, I might have put that tab over here on the side instead. You decide where you want to put your little tab. But I didn't want to throw that little piece away. I challenged myself to use it. I mean, I guess I could still leave it in portrait here and they could open it from there, but it's going to be in landscape. Okay, so we got that little tab that we didn't have to throw away. I'm going to set that aside. This is my cardstock layer that's going to be the base of the card. And I brought in the green plaid instead of the peach pie because I already did one with the peach pie background. And I wanted to see what the green looked like. So we're just going to glue these two pieces together. With quilt cards, I've always got more than enough designer series paper left that I can use big pieces and just layer and cover everything whole. Otherwise, I'll never use up all the designer series paper. Quilt blocks do not take that much paper. So we're going to cover that. And this base here is going to be our border for our quilt card. And so that's going to sit like that. So we can go ahead and we can glue this down. Now you would want to, if you're stamping a greeting, you're going to want to stamp before you probably glue it down. But if you made a mistake in your stamping, remember you can stamp again on a piece of scrap paper and punch that greeting out and then just cover up the mistake that's on the inside. Not necessarily a mistake, an oops, okay? You can cover your oops up. So now here we have our quilt card, and I can just, with my fingers to open it, this little tab helps me grab the card and I can open it. And so you can do anything you want as far as adding a sentiment. I'm going to let the quilting, the pattern and everything do all the talking on the outside. I am going to bring in some of these in color gems here. And I'm going to use the peach pie. Is this, yeah, this is peach pie, isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to bring one of those and I'm going to put it right in the center of my pinwheel. Or my windmill, pinwheel, whatever you want it to be. And then I'm going to kind of look at my pattern that was done with the cute crochet embossing folder. I think I'm going to put maybe another one here in the middle of this circle. And maybe one up here so that I can add just a little bit more bling. But honestly, I've done a couple of these cards and you know, they say to work in odd numbers. Well, one's an odd number. So I only used one. But let's put one right there. Come on. And let's put this one up here. Just to add a little bit more interest by adding some bling, but you certainly could have just done just the one. But that's what I came up with for today's mystery quilt block. This goes together really easily. Working with this puppy, the puppy time has kind of limited my craft time. I mean, you have got to keep eyes on her all the time. She's only 3 months old and she wants to be into everything. Everything goes in her mouth. She can be gone in a millisecond. She's so fast. So you know, when it's time for her to, if she starts getting too rambunctious, then we get some crate time. And as long as there's nothing else, something else for me to do in the house that takes priority, I get to craft a little bit. So we're all kind of settling into this new schedule and what it looks like until hopefully she starts to slow down, maybe, you know, enough that my time gets to be a little bit longer. But there is that one. And here I want to show you some different samples. Here's the one I did where, let's move that piece of grid paper out of the way. Here's one that I did with that peach pie layer. So I wanted to see what the green looked like versus the peach pie. It's bolder. I like it. Here's the one I did. I actually changed my designer series paper. I used this strip here. I still use the peach pie background. I did this one in portrait. So my tab is in a different location. Well, really, all we did was turn it like this, and it could be portrait. Oh, all of these could be portrait. Hey, that's cool. Why was I making the thought process so hard? Anyway, and this is also the sample that I wanted to show you, that I did my quilting all at once. Can you see? I drew my lines, I put my strips down, created my pinwheel. And once that was all done, then I ran the whole thing through the embossing folder. So even my pinwheel has some texture, and so does the designer series paper. Although you really can't see it, you can feel it. So there's another option for you. And like I said, oh darn it, now you got to make another card so that you can see what it looks and feels like. Okay, so there's that one there. And then I want to show you, I used the same designer series paper, but I brought in that piece of, that has the Blackberry Bliss in it. And look how it really, the darker colors changed the feel, but yet, you know, it still seems soft to me. And again, I've got my little tab here that it could be. Well, if I do it from the top, I could still open it. Or it could be landscape. Now this time I laid my strips on and I did my quilting of the background first. So these are not quilted, but I still love the flat look to the card. So there are just some different samples for you. I'm going to make more because I thought this was so much fun. And I love this pack of designer series paper. So I want to use more of the patterns that are in it. So I am going to give away 2 cards during the live. And I'll give away 2 cards 24 hours later for those who caught the replay. So if you want to put in the comments to market Pinwheel, then after the live I will draw 2 names and send out one of the cards to you, and then 24 hours later I will go back, and if anybody was catching replay, then I'll draw 2 more names. So to market Pinwheel is the code word. And once I finish the live, then I'm going to go back and there will be 2 winners from today. So thank you for spending Thursday morning with me and just seeing the different possibilities of this simple pinwheel. And I can't wait to see what your cards look like over in the group that's called the community group that's called Quilt Cards and More. That's where we do all our sharing. That is also where the only place I can upload PDFs to. So look for a PDF for this card this weekend. And have a really blessed rest of your Thursday. Stay well. And I will be chatting with you soon over in the group. So everyone have a great, great day. And thank you for the hearts.